Imagine discovering that your own father, a respected FBI agent, might have been involved in his daughter's disappearance. And before you think that's impossible, let me tell you the story of Sarah Mitchell, a 17-year-old girl who vanished on an October night in 1987 during what should have been a quiet family celebration but turned into the beginning of one of the most disturbing mysteries in American criminal history. And if you're wondering how a federal agent could be involved in his own daughter's disappearance, buckle up, because this story goes far beyond what you can imagine, and I guarantee that by the end of this video, you'll question everything you think about justice and family. So make sure to hit that subscribe button because we're diving deep into cases the authorities do not want you to know about. Robert Mitchell had worked 22 years for the FBI, specializing in political corruption cases in the Chicago field office. And on the surface, he was the perfect federal agent, clean record, exemplary service respected by colleagues. But what his family and the Bureau didn't know was that Robert had been taking bribes from organized crime figures for over 5 years, specifically from the Torino crime family, who controlled most of the illegal gambling operations in the greater Chicago area. And Sarah Mitchell, his youngest daughter, had accidentally discovered her father's corruption when she found a briefcase containing over $50,000 in cash and detailed records of bribes hidden in their basement. And instead of staying quiet like any scared teenager might, Sarah confronted her father directly on the night of October 15th, during her cousin's birthday party, and according to witness testimony that only surfaced 30 years later, during a deathbed confession from Robert's brother Mark, the confrontation turned violent when Sarah threatened to report her father to his FBI supervisors, and what happened next will shock you, because Robert Mitchell didn't just silence his daughter temporarily, he made sure she would never be able to expose his criminal activities. And if you think this story couldn't get more twisted, wait until you hear about the cover-up that followed and how multiple law enforcement agencies worked together to bury the truth. So hit that like button if you want to see more cases where the system failed the victims. The official police report states that Sarah Mitchell left her cousin's birthday party at approximately 10:30 p.m. on October 15th, after arguing with her boyfriend Jake Morrison about college plans. But 3 witnesses who were never interviewed by police have now come forward with a completely different version of events. And according to Maria Santos, who was working as a caterer at the party, she saw Sarah arguing intensely with her father near the back entrance of the house around 10:15 p.m., and Maria distinctly remembers hearing Sarah say, quote, "I know what you've been doing. Dad and I can't keep quiet about it anymore," unquote, before Robert grabbed his daughter's arm forcefully and led her outside. And when Maria looked out the window 5 minutes later, she saw Robert loading something heavy wrapped in a tarp into the trunk of his car. And the most chilling detail is that Sarah's purse and jacket were found the next morning in Robert's FBI vehicle. But this evidence mysteriously disappeared from the evidence locker 3 days later and was never mentioned in any official reports. And if you're wondering how this evidence vanished, the answer will make you lose faith in the justice system entirely. So make sure you're subscribed because we're exposing corruption that goes all the way to the top. Detective James Walsh, who was assigned to Sarah's missing person case, has recently admitted in retirement that he was pressured by his superiors to close the investigation quickly and focus on the boyfriend Jake Morrison as the primary suspect, despite having zero physical evidence connecting him to Sarah. His disappearance, and Walsh reveals that when he tried to investigate Robert Mitchell's alibi and request a search warrant for the FBI agent's property, he was immediately transferred to a different department and warned that pursuing certain leads could end his career. And even more suspicious is the fact that the Torino crime family, who had been under FBI surveillance, suddenly stopped all illegal activities for 6 months after Sarah's disappearance, as if they knew law enforcement attention would be intensified. And former crime family associate Tommy Ricci, who entered witness protection in 2003, testified that his boss Vincent Torino personally told him that, quote, "the FBI problem has been taken care of permanently," unquote, just days after Sarah vanished. And when investigators finally tracked down this lead in 2018, Vincent Torino had been dead for 8 years, and all records of his meetings with FBI agents had been classified as national security matters. And if this level of corruption doesn't outrage you, wait until you hear about the physical evidence that proves Sarah never left that house alive. So smash that like button, and let's expose the truth together. Forensic expert Dr. Elena Rodriguez, who reviewed the case files in 2020, using modern technology, found traces of Sarah's DNA in the trunk of Robert Mitchell's 1986 Ford Crown Victoria. Despite the car supposedly being thoroughly cleaned after the investigation, and even more damning is the discovery of Sarah's blood on a shovel found buried in Robert's backyard during an unofficial search conducted by private investigator Helen Cross, who was hired by Sarah's maternal grandmother. And the shovel contained enough genetic material to prove it was used in a violent crime. But when Helen tried to turn this evidence over to police, she was arrested on trespassing charges, and the shovel disappeared from the police evidence room the same night. And phone records that were sealed for 35 years showed that Robert Mitchell made 17 calls to known associates of the Torino crime family in the week following Sarah's disappearance, including 2 calls lasting over 30 minutes to Vincent Torino, Hild's personal lawyer. And most shocking of all is the discovery of Sarah's diary hidden in the walls of the Mitchell family home during renovations in 2019, and the diary entries from the weeks before her disappearance revealed that Sarah had been documenting her father's criminal activities for months, including photographing the briefcase contents and recording conversations, and her final entry dated October 14th, just 1 day before she vanished, reads, quote, "I have enough evidence to send Dad to prison for life, but I don't know if I can destroy our family tomorrow. I'm going to give him one last chance to turn himself in, or I'll have to do what's right." Unquote. And if you think this evidence would finally bring justice, you're about to learn how deep this conspiracy really goes. So make sure to ring that notification bell, because this story gets even more unbelievable. The most shocking revelation came in 2021, when former FBI Director William Hayes admitted during a congressional hearing that the Bureau had covered up Robert Mitchell's crimes to protect an ongoing operation against organized crime. And Hayes testified that sacrificing one case was deemed necessary to preserve a larger investigation that could take down multiple crime families. But what he didn't reveal is that Robert Mitchell had been working as a double agent for nearly a decade, feeding information to both the FBI and the Torino family. And when Sarah threatened to expose this arrangement, it jeopardized not just her father's career, but a multi-million-dollar operation that involved dozens of federal agents and organized crime figures, and the decision to eliminate Sarah was made at the highest levels of the FBI, with Robert Mitchell being ordered to handle the situation permanently, and in exchange for his silence and cooperation, Robert was transferred to a cushy desk job in Washington, D.C., where he worked until his retirement in 2005 with full pension benefits. And when Robert Mitchell died of a heart attack in 2015, he took his secrets to the grave, but not before leaving behind a safety deposit box containing photographs, audio recordings, and documents that prove the FBI's involvement in covering up his daughter's murder. And this evidence has been sealed by federal court order and classified as a matter of national security, preventing Sarah's family from ever getting the justice they deserve. And if you want to see more cases where powerful people escape justice, subscribe right now, because we're not done exposing the truth. Today, Sarah Mitchell would be 53 years old, but instead she's been missing for 36 years while her killer lived comfortably on a government pension. And the worst part is that this case is not unique, as there are dozens of similar incidents where law enforcement officers have killed family members to protect their criminal activities and gotten away with it because the system protects its own. And Sarah's case proves that when corruption reaches the highest levels of government, even innocent children become expendable. And the only way to honor Sarah's memory is to keep demanding answers and exposing these crimes, no matter how powerful the people involved might be. So if this story has opened your eyes to the reality of police corruption and government cover-ups, show your support by liking this video and subscribing to Cold Case Chronicles, because we're committed to bringing justice to victims who have been forgotten by the system. And tomorrow we're releasing an even more shocking case about a police chief who murdered 3 witnesses to protect a drug trafficking operation. So make sure notifications are turned on, because you won't want to miss it. And remember that every subscription helps us continue investigating these cases and fighting for victims like Sarah Mitchell, who deserves to have her story told and her killer exposed, even if it takes another 36 years to get justice. Because the truth always finds a way to surface, no matter how deeply it's buried, and that's exactly what we're here to do. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next investigation, where we'll continue exposing the dark secrets that powerful people do want you to know about. And together we can make sure that victims like Sarah Mitchell are never forgotten, and that their killers never truly escape justice, no matter how long it takes or how powerful they think they are. Because at Cold Case Chronicles, we believe that everyone deserves the truth and we'll never stop fighting to give it to them.